with motorcyclist Rene Cormier, who is here talking about his journey that started in May of 2003 at Kitsilano Beach. He took his BMW 650 and he hit the road. He covered 154,000 kilometers, 45 countries. He's here if you'd like to talk to him at 604-280-9898. He's also going to be in Abbotsford this weekend, starting tonight at the Vancouver International Motorcycle Show, tonight through Sunday. 45 countries. If I had to say, name the top three, the three that either boggled your mind or surprised you or scared you, or just give me three.
Yeah, that's a very popular question. But it's also a very difficult question to answer because good food, the country for great food, my favorite food, which was Mexico, is not the same for my favorite riding, which would be Peru, Bolivia, and Tajikistan. The country that surprised me the most was Ethiopia. Before I got to Ethiopia, I envisioned the Ethiopia of the 80s with the starving babies and the flies around the babies and famine. But it is a gorgeous country with mountainous and green and lots of locally produced food and beautiful people and very friendly. I mean,
were you well received in most countries?
Yeah, 99% of the countries. And the ones where I felt not well received, it was often because I was only there for a day or two. So I didn't have a chance to really sink my fingers into and feet into sort of local culture. But hospitality was gracious all throughout the room.
Jim, good morning.
Good morning, Bill and Renee. I just came back. I got back in November from a 2-month trip through Central America on a KLR 650. But anyway, my question, I fell in love with it. It was my first adventure, what I call adventure riding. And for me, Guatemala probably was the people there were, I found incredible poverty, but spirit that was unimaginable. But anyway, my question to you is, I'm hooked. And I'm jealous listening to you of all the things that you did. And you did it right. You took more time than I did. So for my next trip, I'm wondering what you recommend, whether I should next do South America or whether to head over to, somewhere else. Like, where did you find the most exciting riding and most interesting?
I mean, the next logical spot for you to go if you enjoyed Latin America is to continue down to South America. If you started to learn Spanish, you're one step ahead and continue with Spanish. But I would recommend not to drive down and fly and move the bike from Panama to Colombia or Ecuador. I would recommend actually flying into Buenos Aires and renting a bike or buying a bike from a previous traveler. Drive around South America for a month or 2 or 6 or a year, and sell the bike again when you are leaving. That way, getting down, the route that you took down to Central America, it takes a lot of time and money. And one of the maxims that I've come away from this trip is spend time in the area that's going to be hardest to get to again.
More with Rene right after this. The Renadian World Tour. You're with Bill Goode on chorus. Talking with Rene Cormier. If you're going out to the Vancouver International Motorcycle Show in Abbotsford at TradeX this weekend, you'll get a chance to meet him and probably talk personally to him about his remarkable journey. 45 countries, 154,000 kilometers on his BMW 650. Connie wants to know if you were inspired by Ted Simon and his epic trip around the world with a loud, vibrating British Triumph back in 1973.
Well, I've certainly read the book quite a number of years ago. I couldn't tell you too many details from the book, but I did remember reading it and realizing that driving around the world probably wasn't as wacky as I had initially envisioned it to be. It wasn't a sort of a watershed book for me. And the other group of people that often come up in that category too is a couple of actors by the name of Ewan McGregor and Charlie Boorman. Ewan McGregor played one of the dudes in Star Wars, and Charlie was also another actor. They left on an around-the-world trip from London, sharing similar parts of my route through Kazakhstan and Mongolia and Russia. And they crossed Canada and the U.S., and they filmed it and made a documentary called The Long Way Round. But their trip is quite different, and they started about the same time as I did, so I wasn't aware that they were actually on the road until 2 years into my trip. I was a little bit out of date with popular motorcycling and what was going on. So I didn't know about them. But I think their journey was quite cool. I mean, they did it quite a bit differently than I did.
Yeah.
They had
did it with a crew and support vehicles.
Crew and 2 support vehicles.
Sponsorship.
And quite a bit of sponsorship, yeah.
Blaine. Blaine, good morning.
Brian? Is it Brian that you're looking for?
Oh, sorry, maybe it is. I've got Blaine on the screen, but if you're Brian, jump in.
Yeah, thanks, Bill. And Rene, thank you for taking my call. Rene, I just got back actually about a month ago from doing some traveling through Thailand and Laos on a bike that I purchased, a Kawasaki called 250D Tracker in Thailand. And I have a lot of, problems and interesting things happening crossing borders and whatnot into Laos and Cambodia. Just wanted to know if you had any similar border stories or an exciting border story that you can share. And also if you found any tricks or any sort of documentation that you carried with you that helped you in some of these border crossings. And were you in Southeast Asia at all?
I was in Southeast Asia, but not on the motorcycle. But as far as borders go, borders are always a bit dodgy. My biggest tip is plan to be there for a day. Give yourself a day to cross the border, and if you're out in an hour, then you're golden. If you're out in half a day, then you're still half as good as you expected it to be. Paperwork is a bit dodgy, and I only had to bribe once to get out of Honduras, not to get into any country, but to get out of Honduras, I had to bribe, which I really, really don't like doing. But it was
How much?
$20. $20, and I didn't have the right paperwork when I came in, and when I left, it was the guy wouldn't let me out.
Eric, hi.
Hi. Remy's done what's really on my bucket list, something I want to do in the next 10 years. And but I got to say, I've been across the continent 5 times, and I find some of the best riding and most interesting experiences are in North America itself, in particular our Arctic. I had no idea how far up the Arctic Circle is. It's almost the same distance as going from here to Montreal and back, or from here to the East Coast and back to Montreal. But the most interesting people, and the only regret I had is I didn't take more time. It always seems on these things you can plan for 2-3 months. You find out that you really need 6 to 8 months type of thing, and just amazing way of traveling.
I'm discovering I have quite a few adventurers in my audience.
Yes, no, it's for people that ride motorcycles, it's something that we always think of doing, taking off and going and going and going.
I have the sense you're not done yet.
I don't think I'll ever be done. I think I'm done the around the world trip as a part 1, part 2 trip. That is done, but the adventuring is going to continue. I have brewing in the back of my head, doing a late winter trip from Fort McMurray, Alberta, up to Tuktoyaktuk on the ice roads. I think that would be a brilliant expedition. That one is, don't tell my mother, but that one's brewing in the back of my head. And like the last caller just said, that the Canada's Arctic is a beautiful place to ride.
Thanks for doing this.
My pleasure.
The news is next. Then Karen McSherry.